Hello, PBS scholars and parents. Today I'm going to start with the week one overview of what we're looking for in the first week of inquiry homework. In week one, they're going to pick a topic and find their resources. Again, we're showing what the transdisciplinary theme is, where we are in place and time. The central idea of the first unit is challenges bring out ideas, responses, and actions and help us gain perspective. Then down below, I have a breakdown of the days and what the expectation is for each of the days of homework. For day one, we're going to ask scholars to brainstorm ideas for their inquiry questions and keep the central idea in mind, and then they're going to complete the section called brainstorming ideas. I'll show you that in a second. In day two, I want them to decide on an inquiry question that you would like to research, complete the section called inquiry question, and I will share that with you in a second as well too. In days 3 through 5, they begin to find their resources. They have to gather at least 5 resources to support their writing. This could include online resources, books, news articles, interviews. There's all different kinds of resources that they could use, and then they record their answers in the My Resources section. I'm going to look at the next page of the homework. In this page of homework, this is the brainstorming ideas section. I'm going to ask them to write down 3 possible inquiry questions that they could have under that central idea. And then they're going to write the inquiry question again and why they chose that as a possible question. On day 2, I'm going to ask that they choose their final inquiry question from the previous day. Now, and again, in the previous day, they have had 3 ideas. By day 2, they have to decide, okay, this is my final question, and this is the one I want to research. And again, I want them to share why they chose the question. Then down below, they're going to be writing what essentially is kind of like a KWL chart, the things that they already know about the topic and the things that they would like to know about the topic. They need to give me 3 things that they already know and 3 things that they'd like to know about that particular topic, just to get them interested in thinking about what possible subtopics they could have. Then in days 3 through 5, it says to find online resources for their notes. They're going to start with some kind of search engine like Google or Yahoo. They can use keywords to search for their topic. They have to look for credible websites. And then I gave some notes for possible indicators to determine whether the site is credible or not. And then it says also to check that the resources are relevant and for different subtopics, and make sure that the sources are easy for you to read. Now, in the end, I'm going to ask that these sources are cited as they choose some sites if they're going to, or books, or whatever kind of information they're going to use. Whatever their sources are, they're going to have to cite it. So underneath here, we have some criteria for how to cite a website. So if they're going to a website, you can see down here an example of the information that they would need to write down for their website. If they were going to be using a book as a resource, again, here's how to cite a book if they're using a book as a resource. If they're using something like a magazine, here's how to cite a magazine. There are other resources that they could use as well too. If you have any questions about how to cite those particular resources, you can let us know. But these are some of the most common types of resources. So we use those as samples to show how to cite those particular sources. So on day 3 through 5, we want them to come up with at least 5 resources to help them with their homework. So for instance, in number 1, if there was a website that they were using, they would write down the complete URL in this box right here. And then they would cite it just like we showed above in the above example, giving all the information for that website that was cited above. And then you continue on with the other resources. They're filling in each resource that they have. Perhaps the second one would be a book. They'd write the title of the book here, and then they'd cite it just like the example above. We're looking for at least 5 resources to help them. Now that could be a couple different websites. We'd like to encourage not to use all 5 of them as websites, and at least 2 different kinds of resources. Websites are okay, and books are okay, and other resources, including even personal resources, people, talking to people, who have experience with that particular topic area is fine as well too. But we want to make sure we have as much information about all of these resources as we can. So by D5, they're going to put in their 5 different resources, whatever they chose, whether it be websites or books or magazines or an interview of somebody. Write down the information about it, citing it, and then at the end of the week, we will come to the criteria. Now, most scholars had this as well in 3rd grade. What my look for is in first week is that they answered all the questions on the graphic organizers and they wrote them in complete sentences, that they chose a final inquiry question, and they cited at least 5 sources that they're going to use for their writing in the following weeks. So that is an overview of what week 1 looks like. Thank you.